Kubor ka Batisi TV. Lawan Rashapi da ka Frank Motors. The dark is here to rule.
Ka Jingïalang ka Sngi Jong ka G20 Space Economy Leaders Meeting. Kala Sdang Nongbah Shillong ha ka khatnyau trek Jong arajar pulai ha ka balaya theria taisani halor kapang Space Economy Policy and New Space. Yakni ka Jingïalang la penbiang da ka Indian Space Research Organization Jong ka Department of Space da ka Jingïalang jo ka Sarkar Meghalaya bat ka Ministry of External Affairs ka Sarkar India. Hakni ka Jingïalang la shimenta da ki Ambassador ki High Commissioner bat ki Officer bala mikmat ya ki arpot ligiri jong ka perthai.
May I once again request Mr. Somnath as
when significant progress has been made as far as India's space sector is concerned. Ladies and gentlemen, under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, India is one of the very, very few countries who have built end-to-end capability in space. Over these last few years, the space technology has penetrated into all walks of life. A huge demand for space-based services which have huge commercial potential. So far as the Indian Space Research Organization, the ISRO, is concerned, it has been striving hard to meet the demands for the space-based services, and at the same time, ISRO also realizing the need to concentrate on research for developing new technologies and new applications. In this context, I might bring it to your notice that the government, headed by Prime Minister Modi, took a very path-breaking decision to open up the space sector for Indian private industry through the 2020 space sector reforms in order to enhance the participation of the private players in end-to-end space activities with the hand-holding from ISRO. These reforms essentially aim to make private industry a co-traveler in India's space journey by allowing them to undertake independent end-to-end space activities. As a result of this, the increased private industry participation will eventually result in increased contribution of India in the global space economy. Towards promoting and authorizing private industry, another decision was taken under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to set up a nodal entity called Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center, namely InSpace. And the creation of InSpace has received overwhelming response from the Indian space industry. The first privately built sounding rocket was launched in November last, as most of you may recall, and a space startup has established a launch pad inside the very launch complex of ISRO itself. And a few startups have also built and launched satellites. In order to give further boost to the private investments, last week, the cabinet headed by Prime Minister Modi approved India's space policy, which is India Space Policy 2023, that envisages and encourages private participation in all the areas of space activities. It is therefore very appropriate that while the government of India, headed by Prime Minister Modi, has taken a number of measures, a series of measures to promote the space economy in the country, the Department of Space, Government of India and the ISRO are organizing Space Economy Leaders Meeting at Bengaluru with a percussive event at Shillong today. I understand that the major objective of this event is to make the space a formal element of G20 discussions in the times to come. I, on behalf of the government headed by Prime Minister Modi, wish all the best to the percussive silent event which is happening over the next 2 days here in Shillong, and the main event thereafter scheduled to be held at Bengaluru in the month of July. I'm sure the fruitful deliberations in these two meetings among the diplomats, the heads of national space agencies, and the space industry from G20 and guest countries will lead towards making space a formal item of discussion in G20 summits.
Most of it. I think you have been visiting out, so I don't know exactly. We did one for now.
This is a meeting of G20 because at first I think G20 space leaders have to formulate the view. Once that view has been finalized, then we'll take it to others. But this is a G20 meeting. G20, but G20 covers 85% of the global economy, almost 78% of the global population, almost 80% of the trade, and therefore G20 is very as a leader in space technology, as a leader in space manufacturing, as a leader in space energy, as a leader in space marketing. They will. Now with this meeting here, the Space Center here, we want Northeast to play a very critical, very major, very significant role in the space sector. There's a huge future in terms of manufacturing, in terms of launches. There are over 500 startups who registered within space, and I think you will see a massive impetus to startups in India because the policy framework now has been developed and created for the startups to drive the space sector in India. We are here to assist and support them. Both INSIL and InSpace are here to fully handhold them. And that is why the InSpace chairman, Mr. Goenka, was also here. We are all fully supporting the Indian startups to lead us in the space sector. The Space Leaders meeting is a very important meeting. More important than that is that we've got very good attendance from all the countries who have come here. Very constructive areas on how to use space economy for the development of humankind being discussed. On how to do manufacturing in space, how to use energy of space and use it for renewable energy, and how to use space mining. All these are very important areas, and different countries are at different stages of development. In India, we've made a lot of progress. The space policy has recently come out, and there are a number of startups who are working in the space sector. India has opened up its space sector for the private sector players. Many of the startups are here, and it's a very good interaction because collaboration is necessary amongst G20 countries. And collaboration for the future is necessary because it's an emerging area of growth. What the rules, regulation, policies will be. And in that, ISRO has to play a very critical role. The space leaders of India have to play a very critical role, and therefore they're guiding the discussions. We've had a very fruitful, constructive discussions in Shillong. Shillong is very important because we have a space center here, and because space technology has to play a very critical role in the development of Northeast, and therefore our view is that Shillong is the ideal place for this meeting. More than that, we've completed 100 meetings in our calendar. We have a meeting in Varanasi, which will be the 100th meeting of the agricultural scientists, and therefore out of the 250 meetings, we are close to having completed 100 meetings. And Shillong meeting is also a very, very important and a critical meeting. We would like to thank the Chief Minister for having participated, and to the government of Meghalaya for having being a very key partner. Very young, dynamic Chief Minister who is interested in doing sustainable development, who believes in nature-based evolution, who believes in eco-sustainability, and space will help you to get the right data for that. Data for development is important. It will help us to create a lot of young entrepreneurs because you have an educated population. It will help you to tap into the renewable energy. It will help you to build up a completely new sustainable manufacturing era of tomorrow. You will be ahead of the rest of the countries, and rest of the states. I think the biggest strength is that we have already got a very, very important high-powered ride to space through the launch vehicle, the ISRO. The ISRO has done path-breaking work in collaboration with many countries. Now it's time for very young dynamic startups and startups from all over the world to come and utilize the strengths of India. And we have opened up that sector, so the policies, regime and the rules and regulations are in place.
As the presidency of the G20 is taken over by India, the Honorable Prime Minister had proposed that the different programs and the sessions should be held in different parts of the country. And as a result, today we are seeing that this particular program and this particular area is of space technology and space economy. The program is being held here in Shillong, and we are co-hosting it with the Department of Space. And I would like to once again thank the Honorable Prime Minister for his great vision to ensure that all the different states would participate in the overall G20 programs. We'd also take this opportunity to welcome all the delegates. We're very happy, and I hope that they are comfortable. And this program also is something that we're very excited about. It's a subject that is something that is going to be of great importance to not just our state but the entire world. And therefore, we're happy that important decisions, discussions, and policy matters will be discussed here in Shillong when it comes to the collaboration of different programs being held by different countries. As you know, the G20 countries, almost all the G20 nations are investing very, very aggressively in space technology, and therefore the timing of this particular program in Shillong is of great importance, because we are seeing that that in the area of space technology, that there are a lot of areas which need to be worked out. There is policy matters need to be discussed. All the countries need to come together and discuss how they should move forward. So hence the timing of this program also is very crucial, and therefore we are very happy that Shillong is becoming part of a very important historic discussion that is taking place on space technology and space economy. Overall, as G20, Meghalaya and the Northeast as a whole has to contribute, and I'm sure will contribute more in the coming years. We have seen that slowly and steadily Northeast India has been now contributing much more to the overall economic activity in the country, and we are hopeful that through these programs we will see much more collaboration between the Northeast states and the G20 nations, so that we're able to build up the overall economic work that's going on in the state and in the region as well. So it's like this. This is a program that is being organized by the G20. This is being organized and co-hosted by Meghalaya, and this is also being organized and co-hosted by Department of Space. So administrative aspects of who can come in, who cannot come in, these are not something that as Chief Minister I'll sit down and make the list. So these things are there. I'll take up your concern. I'll take up your concern, but this is not something that I will be able to answer who can come in, not come in. These are security measures which are taken.
I'm not asking about security.
Can we have realistic questions now? We have answers. First, obviously, is the weather prediction. See, that itself, once we get the information ahead of time, that we are expecting heavy rainfalls in the next few months, weeks or days, obviously it helps us to give a precaution and make necessary arrangements. So weather prediction is obviously the number one aspect of things. Number two, once the floods come in, the damages that are done. So if there is people have to walk and travel by car or by foot, and sometimes because the floods it's not possible, then obviously we see that the relief measures take a lot of time. The assessment of damage takes a lot of time. Obviously, with space technology, we'll be able to make more accurate assessment of damages, and more importantly, we'll be able to get more details in a very, very quick manner. So therefore, there are multiple advantages. I don't want to get into all of that, but we are seeing that now NESAC is working closely with all the northeastern states. Flood control and flood damage, as climate change takes place, is going to become a major problem. It already is becoming, and we anticipate that the next 5 to 10 years is going to be a very, very critical part, and therefore this is related to entire climate change issues. So I'm sure space technology is going to play a very important role in ensuring that all of this is put together, and we're able to take precautionary measures, and we're also able to assess and do quick damage control in terms of being able to provide relief for the people of those who are affected by the disaster and a natural event. This is because of weather conditions which are not entirely under the control of human beings. So therefore, we can only see and work towards ensuring that, number one, we take steps to have advance warnings, so that people can come to safe areas, because we know that there's going to be a lot of heavy rain. So advance information, which technology helps us, will help us to take precautionary measures. And number two, as I said, once the damage is done, to assess that, technology will help us to be able to know exactly where the point areas are. Satellite pictures can allow us to know that, well, if the water has to be blocked to go into certain areas, where it has to be done. If the water has to be allowed to flow, then which areas need to be opened up. All these kind of micro details planning is coming in. But obviously in the long run, we have to realize that there has to be efforts for overall flood control in terms of different canals being built, or diversion of water, or protection areas that will be created. So those are larger infrastructure things, which is a medium-term thing. And in the long term, we obviously have to realize that weather patterns and all are affected by climate change. So all efforts need to be made to ensure that we are able to adapt to it, and also we're able to ensure that steps are taken to control the effect of climate change. So Government of India has now come out with a space policy. So there the involvement, and obviously it's a subject that is very much in the domain of the central government. But we have seen that that now Government of India has encouraged through this policy the involvement of private sector, which is a really encouraging thing, because that is the only way to ensure that innovation takes place. For innovation, we need the private sector entrepreneurs to come in. We have seen this happening in other parts of the world, and hence the story in India is no different. And we've seen that India has a huge resource of entrepreneurs and young technicians and entrepreneurs who will be able to bring in innovation given the chance. So therefore, I'm very happy that the policy has come in, and definitely wherever Meghalaya can play a role in ensuring that our youngsters and our different companies who would be interested in space technology, we will be there to obviously help. Entrepreneurship is an area which I have promoted myself a lot, and I would like to see that one day, yes, that not just big companies from other parts of the country, but I hope that we will see startups from Meghalaya also play a big role in space technology. No, so therefore NESAC has been very cooperative, and we have been using and working with NESAC very closely. Of course, the possibilities are limitless. So obviously we cannot say that we've been able to go into every aspect of space technology and using NESAC's real strengths, I should say. But the impact has been great. Government of India has been stressing a lot on this, and just to share with you, there are multiple projects going on as we speak to use space technology. For example, the afforestation that we're doing it with NESAC. The catchment area protection work that we're doing it in NESAC. The entire reservoir creation that we're doing with NESAC. So there are multiple projects: agriculture, forest cover, all these aspects are being worked with NESAC. But obviously scope is very, very large, keeping in mind the capability that NESAC has. But as we go forward, and I'm sure programs like these will allow us now to really push this entire space technology aspect even further.